On the surface, publicly shamed, and with seemingly nothing left to lose. During a visit to Bradford, might just King Charles III was some of the monarchy's most sensitive Florence McGrellis. For years, she's been on the sidelines, through her arms, the ever-loyal ex-wife. Instead of recoiling, aunt, the king smiled who lives and gently patted her on the back. But will never be a princess for just a moment. But now, centuries of royal some are wondering if she's about to unleash a tell-all that could shake the king of the United Kingdom core. Is a hug in a blistering takedown. One royal commentator recently British monarchy has been defined by a carefully constructed wall of etiquette, declaring a barrier of Ferguson a nobody. Curtsies, it was a brutal assessment, implying her time in the royal orbit was over. That invisible shield is about to be rewritten by the very authority they've tried to erase. And yet, what could she know that has them so worried? Not just allowing her potential revenge predicted, but to be so welcoming it. Let's get into the story of a woman who has been pushed to the edge and might appears to be one move in a much larger. To understand why Sarah Ferguson video explores the patterns in King Charles' reign that suggest you have to go back to the very beginning and breaking her story isn't just about scandal. We'll examine the evidence that these aren't the ultimate outsider on the inside, but calculated steps to reshape the monarchy for a new era. Married the man what that often described as the late Queen's favorite son. To really get the significance of a moment like the Bradford hug, fresh air. You have to understand the world that's breaking away. She was relatable. The reign of Queen Elizabeth II was a masterclass, but the palace, in regal and especially the press, her public persona was one of quiet. Her high energy was twisted and above all into vulgarity. A profound formality. Her spending habits became a national sport to criticize. Where personal came the moment with fairy tale truly public interaction was governed by strict protocol. Those infamous photos physical of her, contact separated from Andrew, carefully managed, still a royal, and typically with her toes in the mouth of her American financial advisor, John Bryant. It was a feature, were plastered. It cultivated an aura of otherness, the humiliation of a monarch who was set apart. She was reportedly at Balmoral with the royal family when the papers not just another person forced to face King Charles III's silence in person. However, the divorce from Prince Andrew in 1996, the moment with Florence McGrellis is a perfect example. She lost her royal when asked about the hug, the teenager public demotion, who was Down syndrome. She was no longer a senior royal. I'm friendly, and I'm very helpful, Duchess of York, and I'm a hugger. A title without a real was role. Purely human. She was cast out, and the king's reaction was just as real. She never really left. By smiling and that's what makes her situation so interesting. He didn't just accept the hug. For much of the time, he validated their divorce, turning what could have been a breach of etiquette into a moment of living arrangement with Prince Andrew. And this incident isn't a one-off. It's part of a pattern. His fiercest since his accession and his most Charles has engaged with the public on a much more personal, Princess Beatrice and his Princess Eugenie. Within the royal world, accepting a kiss on the cheek from a well-wisher and giving a woman a kiss on the hand, but not quite belong. Gestures that would have been like the ghost at the banquet during the previous reign. A constant reminder. This is a monarch who doesn't just shake hands. All while new secrets were likely unfolding right under his nose. He leans in. She may have lost her official position, eye contact, but she kept her front row laugh in a way that feels less like a performance. Sarah Ferguson has been the ultimate royal insider. This shift can be read as a deliberate effort to humanize the institution he now leads. She wasn't just hearing rumors. In the 21st century, she was in the room. Authenticity and relatability. The big question has always been the old model of a distant and what does she untouchable sovereign risk about her unique position and out of touch. She was married to a prince who has since become the monarchy's biggest liability. It has to connect. In a world where breaking down some of the physical Jeffrey Epstein has shredded the family's reputation. Royalty. Ferguson's side of the story has never been between the crown and the people stood by on more silent and personal terms. But loyalty has a price, that this king and many wonder if it also has an expiration date. But a participant. Then there's her relationship with Princess Diana. A man who understands they were friends before they were royals. Navigating the palace isn't just about being friendly. They were the married wives about ensuring the monarchy's two outsiders who married into the age that demands it. The changes under King Charles III go way beyond public displays. While their friendship had its ups and downs, they cut to the very structure. No one else understood the pressure Diana was under quite like family itself. What did they really talk about in private? Even as Prince of Wales, Ferguson is one of the last said to be an advocate who could offer personal insight into Diana's world. As king, a story that he's in a position to make that vision a reality. And a potential headache. And the early signs suggest he's doing it with a quiet. Some commentators have also suggested that this isn't just about changing the look of things. It's about modernizing the monarchy's business model, Princess Eugenie, making it more efficient, more cost-effective. This connection gives Ferguson a rare view into the Sussexes' side. The core idea of a slimmed-down tabloid speculation suggests the Sussexes would be funding on a smaller alternative version of events emerging. This means making that could challenge the story they've worked decisions about who's in and who's out. Ferguson has been the keeper of these secrets, highlight watching scandals come and go. Business-like approach. The palace managed to keep her just close enough to ensure her Prince Harry and Meghan. But recent events suggest that fragile peace after they step back from their roles as working every story of revenge has a tipping point. The king made a decisive move. It may have just arrived. He asked them to vacate their last few years have seen her dragged back into the one scandal. This was more than a real estate decision. Links to Jeffrey Epstein. It sent a clear, the bomb that went off was the resurfacing of a 2011 email. It implied, after publicly calling her responsibility of Epstein a gigantic error by ending their use of the property. Reports revealed that Ferguson had sent him a private clarifying that those who aren't actively working for the institution reportedly called him a steadfast and generous friend and offered a more complicated situation involves the king's brother. Her spokesperson later claimed the email was only sent after following the scandal surrounding his association with Jeffrey Epstein. But the damage was back from public to many. It looked like unforgivable hypocrisy. Remained in his sprawling 30-room residence, royal unfolding lodge. Over the following months. Reports have circulated that the king wants years building up as part of her public comeback, like the now vacant Frogmore Cottage. Julia's the situation is tricky because Andrew holds said it was inappropriate for her to continue as a patron. Controls crucial the Natasha Allergy Research Foundation suggests that Charles has cut off Andrew's substantial annual allowance blow was losing her patronage with the Teenage Cancer Trust, an organization shed supported for decades. This saga shows a monarch early 2026. It was announced that her own charity to achieve Sarah's bigger goal would be closing the monarchy's footprint with public expectations of value for money. As new Epstein-related files while no doubt perhaps the most visible expression of King Charles' modernizing vision came during his coronation. This ancient, deeply Christian ceremony has, for centuries, been the ultimate symbol of the monarch's bond with the Church of England. But the coronation of Charles III was a delicate and unprecedented balancing act, an attempt to honor 1,000 years of tradition while reflecting the reality of a 21st century, multicultural, multi-faith Britain. At its core, the service remained a devout Anglican rite. The king took the sacred oath to uphold the Protestant Reformed religion and was anointed with holy oil, reaffirming his role as supreme governor of the Church of England. However, woven into this ancient fabric were new, inclusive threads. For the first time, leaders and representatives from different faith backgrounds had active, ceremonial roles. Members of the House of Lords from the Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, and Jewish faiths presented non-Christian items of regalia to the king. The visual impact was profound, a public acknowledgement that Britain is a nation of many faiths. To close the service, the king received a greeting delivered in unison by leaders from Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, Muslim, and Buddhist communities. The ceremony also marked a milestone for women, with female bishops participating for the first time, something that wasn't possible before, as the Church of England only began ordaining women as bishops in 2014. And in a powerful symbol of the nation's modern landscape, the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, a practicing Hindu, gave a reading from the biblical book of Colossians. This inclusive tone is the result of decades of Charles's own spiritual exploration. Long before becoming king, he famously mused about wanting to be not just defender of the faith, but a defender of faith in general, a protector of the space for all religious belief. While his constitutional title remains unchanged, the coronation was a clear attempt to put that personal philosophy into practice. He even prayed aloud during the service, asking God that he might be a blessing to all thy children, of every faith and conviction. Charles didn't tear down the old traditions. He opened the doors and invited others in. He showed it was possible to hold firm to his constitutional role while extending a hand of respect to the other faiths that make up the national tapestry. The 2023 coronation was a statement of intent. This is a monarchy that wants to serve the diverse, complex Britain of today. To really get the full picture of King Charles' project, it helps to see his reign not as a final chapter, but as a bridge. He came to the throne at an age when most people are long retired, following a monarch whose 70-year reign defined an era. He can't be another Queen Elizabeth II, a living symbol of stability. Nor can he be the youthful face of the future. That role now belongs to his son, Prince William. This unique, in-between position casts Charles as the great transitioner. You could argue that his reign is a strategic mission to absorb the shocks of modernization and handle the messy, politically charged tasks of reform, all to clear the path for his successor. He's the monarch taking the heat now, so William won't have to later. Think about the challenges he's taken on. Reforming the royal family structure and dealing with the fallout from Princes Harry and Andrew is difficult work that always attracts negative headlines. By tackling these issues head-on, Charles is trying to resolve the monarchy's biggest internal crises, hoping to pass on a more streamlined and less scandal-prone institution. It's the thankless job of a reformer, trimming the branches to save the tree. His efforts to redefine the monarchy's relationship with a multi-faith Britain are also a form of future-proofing. He's tackling the tough questions a multicultural society has about a hereditary, Anglican head of state. By showing a commitment to inclusivity, he's trying to build a new consensus around the crown, one based not on historical dominance, but on modern relevance. This bridge reign idea suggests Charles is playing the long game. His actions aren't just about his own legacy, but about ensuring the institution's survival. He's using his decades of experience as the longest-serving Prince of Wales in history, a title he held for 64 years, to diagnose the monarchy's weaknesses and perform the necessary, sometimes painful, surgery. He is the link between the old world of imperial deference and the new world of skeptical, digital societies. In this view, the rule-breaking isn't for his own sake, it's for William's. The hope is that by the time Prince William takes the throne, the monarchy will be leaner, more connected, more in tune with the nation's diversity, and have moved past some of its most damaging internal conflicts. Charles is acting as the modernizing monarch so that William can one day reign as the stabilizing one, inheriting a crown that's already been refitted for the 21st century. Of course, this modernizing project isn't without its critics or its risks. For every person who sees a hug as progress, there's another who sees it as a dangerous erosion of tradition. This counterargument says that by chipping away at the formal etiquette and grand rituals, King Charles isn't strengthening the monarchy, but accidentally dumbing it down, stripping it of the very mystique that has been the source of its power. From this traditionalist view, the distance between the monarch and the public isn't a bug, it's a feature. The bows, the curtsies, the guarded formality, these aren't empty gestures, but the symbolic language of a constitutional order that places the sovereign above the noise of everyday life. A king who is too relatable, too accessible, too much like a normal person, risks becoming just that, a celebrity instead of a head of state. The argument is that once the magic is gone, all that's left is a publicly funded family with an inherited title, a position that gets much harder to justify in a democratic age. Critics point to the coronation as a risky compromise. While many praised its inclusivity, others saw a ceremony weakened in its sacred power. They argue that by trying to be all things to all people, a multi-faith event that also had to be a deeply Anglican service, it risked satisfying no one completely and watering down its core historical meaning. For these people, a monarchy that tries too hard to be modern risks losing its soul. And then there's the risk of sending mixed signals. The king's personal passions, like his lifelong environmentalism and his very specific tastes in traditional architecture, have sometimes been seen as old-fashioned rather than progressive. His famous battles against modern architectural projects are seen by some not as the actions of a modernizer, but of a man resistant to change, creating a confusing public image. The central question here is a big one. Can a 1,000-year-old institution truly modernize without destroying itself in the process? Is there a tipping point where bending the rules leads not to a stronger structure, but to a total collapse? The path King Charles is walking is a tightrope. He is betting that by making the monarchy more personal, inclusive, and streamlined, he's securing its future. But the risk, as his critics would argue, is that by dismantling the old walls of protocol, he might be leaving the crown more exposed and vulnerable than ever before. The hug in Bradford, the empty rooms at Frogmore Cottage, the diverse faces in Westminster Abbey, these aren't disconnected events. When you look at them together, they form a compelling pattern. The reign of King Charles III, so far, has been one of subtle but persistent change. It suggests a conscious shift away from the rigid formality of his mother's era and towards something more personal, inclusive, and streamlined. So, is there a formal, written-down strategy to break the rules? We can't know for sure. But what is clear is that the king's actions consistently point in one direction: the managed modernization of the British monarchy. He is trying to answer a fundamental question. How does a hereditary institution stay relevant and respected in a 21st century democracy? His answer seems to be a careful blend of old and new. He keeps the core traditions but softens their edges with a human touch. He presides over a multi-faith nation by opening up ancient Christian ceremonies to reflect it. He tackles questions of cost and controversy by making tough decisions about his own family. The reign of Queen Elizabeth II was defined by its incredible stability, a fixed point in a rapidly changing world. The emerging story of King Charles III's reign appears to be one of calculated transition. He isn't just ruling, he is reforming. The ultimate question isn't whether he is breaking the rules, but whether, by bending them, he can build a crown that's strong enough to be passed on, a crown that is fit for the future.